Let's talk iPhone, shall we? I got the iPhone 12 in India on the day of the launch itself at around 12 p.m. Pretty interesting process of getting my iPhone 10 exchanged for the iPhone 12. The whole exchange process took me 45 minutes, and that's because my iPhone 10 wasn't able to enter the diagnostic test mode. But in a standard normal condition situation, it should only take you about 15 minutes to get through the whole process from start to finish to receiving your new device. Now, I'm not fairly new to the new box size from Apple. Just the previous month, I bought the iPhone SE, which came in the new smaller box. And I should say I really like the new box designs. They're really hard, solid. However, I do definitely miss the charger not being in the box. And when you open the box up, first things, you see the cameras, which is a bit odd because the cameras are the premium pro feature on the iPhone 12 Pro, and I would understand if Apple put the phone upside down in those boxes, but on the iPhone 12, the display is the main feature. So why would you put the phone face down in these boxes? That's just dumb, because the iPhone 12 and 12 mini are the first standard devices from Apple to include a OLED screen at 3x resolution, which is pretty solid by itself, no doubt. But why Apple would do that for the boxing makes no sense. So let's jump into the build section of this review. The iPhone 12 is built solidly, and it brings back the square edge design back from 2020, square and fair. The 12 mini is already way better with the square edges. Just try holding an iPhone 5 or a 5S and an iPhone 6, and you'll immediately see why square edges make sense for gripping the phone. Square edges also, for me personally, and this is a subjective point in this review, it makes it very easy for me to reach the side buttons, the power button on the right, and the volume increase and decrease buttons on the left. So yeah, I'm definitely happy that this design is back. It also matches Apple's other designs with the MacBooks and the 4th generation iPad Air and the iPad Pros. This phone comes with IP68 rating rated for 20 minutes up to 30 feet. Sorry, 20 feet up to 30 minutes. That's right. So that's a great thing to have. However, I do miss not having the Apple Watch kind of a system for ejecting water out of the speakers. So I would really appreciate if Apple added that in one of the future iterations of the phone. Now, I do understand that yes, you can wear the Apple Watch when you go for a swim. You don't necessarily carry the phone with you when you're swimming. But say I go to the beach and take a few shots in the water and I get some water into the speaker grills, it would be a nice to have feature because Apple already has it on watchOS, just port it to iOS. So with the whole pandemic situation, everyone was expecting Apple to add the TouchID to the power button, just like the 4th generation iPad Air. And I don't necessarily understand the reasoning behind that, because we do have Face ID on these devices, and just having a power button with Touch ID as well would have added to the complexity on the software side, on iOS's side. I'll touch more on this in a future part of the video. Ceramic glass is another big feature Apple has been touting for the iPhone 12 series, and it's supposedly 4 times stronger. There's no chance that I'm going to be testing that out on this channel because, well, that's the only phone I have. But I'll take Apple's claims that it is 4 times stronger. But do remember that it is still glass. It's still a crystalline structure no matter what Apple adds to the mix of that. So it is definitely going to crack. If you're worried about that, put a case on it. If you're still worried about that, put a tempered glass thing on it and, well, take your chances. I cannot fail to mention how incredibly light this device is. When I first took it out of the box, I thought I was duped because of how light it felt, and I thought I got one of those dummy phones that you sometimes see in stores. which are there just for display, they don't work. And I thought I got one of those, but I was so wrong. I turned it on and the Apple logo just came up. It started to boot. So yeah, kudos to on getting the weight down. The aluminum sides definitely add to this part, and people who have gotten the iPhone 12 Pro do mention that it does feel heavy and solid, but I do like the feel of the iPhone 12 in my hands. It's much more lighter, and even with the case, it still feels lighter than my old iPhone 10. I am so glad that Apple decided to make OLED screens mainstream across the entire iPhone 12 lineup this year. Previously, the OLED screens were limited to the Pro series of phones, so like the iPhone 10, the 10s, the 11 Pro and Pro Max, and then what could have been the 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, but Apple decided OLED across all. That's pretty solid. They've also kind of fixed the issue where you would get a greenish tint to the screens. I had it on my iPhone 10. I've seen it on people's iPhone 10s, iPhone 11 Pro. I'm not sure. I've never seen the device in my life in person. On the 12 Pro, it's not there. On the 12, it is not there. They've definitely addressed that issue. 3x resolution, pretty solid. You are almost getting a 1080p resolution at this point, which is solid. For some weird reason, YouTube app was updated to support 2160p HDR videos on these iPhones. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Please don't do that to your devices. They can perfectly handle it, but don't do it to your battery. Please don't. Color-wise, the displays are no different than the iPhone 10, 10s, or the iPhone 11. They are slightly less brighter overall. The 12 Pro Max being the brightest display out there, but obviously that's because it's much larger in size, so it needs to be brighter to be at the same brightness, perceived brightness at a fixed measured distance. The A14 Bionic chip that comes with the iPhone 12 series is a superb chip. It is very power efficient. It is incredibly fast. I could instantly feel the difference after upgrading from my iPhone 10, which had started to get a bit sluggish. That was mainly because of the battery in my case. But yeah, compared to that chip, the A14 is so much more faster, especially with getting just your regular day-to-day stuff done. Making phone calls, text messages, and emails is just superb. So that obviously means that it is even better at multitasking stuff where all the cores on the CPU get used. So when you open pages, spreadsheets, or edit movies on your phones or edit photos on your phones, all of that is superbly done in this chip. The upgrade for the neural engine in this chip also does come through. Siri on my iPhone 10 wasn't the best experience. However, on the iPhone 12, Siri understands exactly everything that I'm trying to tell it. And is it still an it, or is it a she now? Or is it a he if you use the male voice? Let me know down in the comments. Alright, so back to the topic. So Siri understands everything I say now, and that is definitely backed by the improvements in the neural engine. So glad to see that as well. Obviously, there's no LiDAR on the iPhone 12. You only get the LiDAR on the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max. And I personally didn't see the need for me to have the LiDAR on my phone yet. Maybe the year after the next one, I'll consider it. I'd like to put in a quick note here about storage and RAM. The iPhone 12 and the 12 mini come with 4 GB of RAM, whereas the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max come with 6 GB of RAM. The 12 and the 12 mini start at 64 GB, and all cameras on this shoot HDR videos. They shoot great photos, and you're definitely going to be clicking a lot of photos and videos with these devices. So please skip the 64 GB version and just jump straight ahead to 128 or higher. Now this is another tiny subjective bit in this video. Face ID on my iPhone 10 started to feel a lot slower compared to the iPhone 12. Face ID on the iPhone 12 is so incredibly fast. It just unlocks the moment I have it ready. It's ready to go when I need it to. I still miss that, when the phone unlocks using my face, it doesn't just go to the home screen. I have to still swipe up. That's still dumb. Apple, please do that. Fix that. It's a bug. It's not a feature. Please. It's a bug. And talking about Face ID, I do not understand why so many people are complaining about not being able to use Face ID in this pandemic situation. Look around yourself. If you are outdoors and you're supposed to be wearing a mask, you should not be interacting with your phone as much because you're touching other surfaces and then your phone Yeah, sure, you may sanitize your phone after you get home and all that, but avoid it entirely if you can. Let's just say that you are someone who is not required to be outside, using your phone all the time, scrolling through Instagram. Can you just sit at home? Please. If you sit at home, you don't need to wear a mask when you're around, alone, and then you can use your Face ID on your brand new iPhone 12 without being worried about anything. It'll just work. Stop being dumb. Stay at home. Stereo audio on the iPhone 12 has improved by leaps and bounds, and I am not sure why not a lot of other reviewers have mentioned this point. So to just give you a quick overview of how things sounded up to the iPhone 11, here it goes.
This is Dolby Cinema. It's where the most advanced cinematic technology you've ever experienced begins. This is Dolby Atmos. The number of speakers around you no longer matters, because this is the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you with pinpoint accuracy.
And now this is how it sounds with the iPhone 12.
This is Dolby Cinema. It's where the most advanced cinematic technology you've ever experienced begins. This is Dolby Atmos. The number of speakers around you no longer matters, because this is the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you with pinpoint accuracy.
So just between these two models of phones, you can see that stereo audio on the iPhone 12 has improved a lot. And I'm not sure if the iPhone 12 also supports the head tracking thing Apple had demoed with the AirPods Pro. But if someone can test that out and let us know down in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. But the stereo audio from the iPhone 12 is absolutely spectacular. You should hear it if you have not yet on your devices, because you'll be blown away by how well it does that. So let's talk software. ProRes RAW has arrived in iOS 14.3 beta, and obviously there's no chance it's coming to the iPhone 12, but I will be making a separate video checking out ProRes RAW and giving my initial thoughts and how that format is and works. You'll be wondering I did not cover the cameras in the hardware section of the video, and that's because I'll be doing a separate video on the cameras for audio, video, and photos. So do be subscribed if you want to see that video in next week. A great new feature starting from the iPhone 12 series in iOS 14 is that they can now start a 5 GHz band Wi-Fi hotspot for other devices to connect around. And what this enables is speeds up to 897 megabytes per second, which is a lot. So for countries that have 5G supported and you have a 5G SIM in there, you'll be able to make use of that bandwidth. Or if you're just creating a hotspot to transfer files around between your Mac and your phone, it'll work much more faster. So this is a really nice addition from Apple, and I really appreciate it. And I just mentioned 5G. Does anyone know in India what 5G is? Has anyone seen 5G? Is he home? Is he answering his calls or texts? I just want to know an ETA. Talking once again about the display, but from a software perspective, Apple has something called as True Tone on the latest Macs and iPhones and iPads, and True Tone is absolute garbage. If you consume a lot of content and media on your phone, or create a lot of content and media on your phones and iPads for that matter, please turn off True Tone. It's garbage, it's rubbish, do not use it. A great addition to the iPhone 12 series is that all 3 cameras on the iPhone 12 and 12 mini and all 4 cameras on the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max can shoot HDR. And now even the front-facing cameras can take portrait photos. So pretty solid additions coming in from the iOS engineering team this year for the iPhone 12 series. So I have pretty heavy usage throughout the day with a little bit of casual gaming here and there and stress on casual gaming. I tend to get about 8 to 9 hours of screen on time, and the battery lasts for me all day on this phone, so no complaints there. If your usage is very light or moderate, you may get up to maybe 12 or 13 hours on screen time. Also depends on the brightness of your screen and a few other factors, but it should average around there. Talking about battery performance, when I was using my iPhone 10 to play arcade games, I noticed that the battery would drain very quickly and my phone used to heat up a lot. But I thought that was an issue with my iPhone 10 because it was aging. It was almost 3 years old. The battery was 3 years old. So I just chalked it up to that. However, that is not the case. You can play a lot of these arcade games and notice that your phone will heat up very quickly and your battery will drain a lot compared to just standard games, other games from the App Store. The other games on the App Store may have this problem if they're not optimized, but most games will not have this issue. Almost every arcade game that I've tried on my phone, on both the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 12, have presented this issue. Now, this issue is not present on my iPad Pro. So it's something to do with the phones, it's something with the apps not being optimized. I would have thought that App Store review would have seen all of these things, but I can tell you a small bit about App Store reviews. They mostly test on iPads. I believe it's the iPad 6th, 7th, and 8th gen iPads, the regular ones. So they may have not got this, but I would have expected that they do this testing at least for the arcade games, which is like a premium feature thing that I pay a monthly subscription for, but that just ends up degrading the battery of my phone. So just be a little careful about that one. Now, the iPhone 12 is by no means a perfect phone. Unfortunately, someone somewhere on this planet keeps asking Apple to make our phones thinner and lighter and sacrifice battery life. I would want to know who this person is and talk to them and have their mental health evaluated. Don't do that, Apple. Please, whoever is asking you to reduce the battery sizes every year at the cost of making our phones thinner, please stop listening to them. Listen to us. Our phones are light enough, they are thin enough, just somehow manage to pack more battery in there, or make them slightly thicker and slightly heavier so you can pack more battery in there. Either ways, it's fine for us as long as we get more battery life. Another thing I noticed when evaluating and testing a lot of things on this phone is that when you shoot HDR videos on this phone or import HDR videos into your Photos app, into the photo library, and you try to cast it to an Airplay 2 enabled device, it only streams a 1080p stream to that device. So I have a OLED 4K HDR Dolby Vision TV, and I was testing with that. It does not display the HDR version of that file, even though you have it on your phone, which is weird. It's not an Airplay 2 limitation. It is absolutely not. I confirmed and verified that. So something is bugging out in the Photos app. It's probably not supported yet. I have not tried this with iOS 14.3, and I hope they fix it in that. But if I import the media into something like Infuse or VLC Player and I cast it from there, it works just fine. So it's definitely a bug in the Photos app or something Apple is doing there. So yeah, that should definitely be ironed out and checked out before iOS 14.3 drops with ProRes RAW. The two are not related at all. No. And finally, let's talk about Magsafe. The Magsafe ecosystem Apple displayed for just under 3 minutes in their launch video was, number one, embarrassing at the 3-minute duration because it looked like a fantastic ecosystem. I am sorry that the presenter had to rush through that segment because I am very excited for the Magsafe charger, the cases and the wallet, but the entire ecosystem feels very restrictive right now. And I wish Apple made this easier for third-party manufacturers and their partners to roll out more of these designs quicker into the market so we have more options as consumers. Alright, that's it for this review. If you are interested in watching the review of the cameras, do hit the subscribe button. That will come out next week. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, you know what to do. And if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you down in the comments. Let's have a chat. Cheers. That's it.